Have you ever noticed how dating after 60 feels so different? Maybe you've met someone who seemed wonderful at first, but somehow things didn't bring you the peace or joy you hoped for. It's a quiet frustration many of us carry, the hope for companionship mixed with the worry of heartbreak, lost time, or even stress on your health. You might think it's just part of getting older, or maybe you tell yourself, well, that's just how relationships go. But what if it's not just age or fate? What if there are certain patterns to watch for that can help you protect your heart, your wallet, and your well-being? In this video, I'll share 3 types of women that men over 60 often encounter, and how recognizing them can make all the difference. Let's walk this journey together, with kindness and wisdom. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Type 1. The dependent woman. It often starts so gently, almost sweetly, that you don't notice at first. You meet someone, maybe through a friend, a church group, or even online. She seems genuinely kind, interested in your stories, happy to listen to tales of your youth, or join you on gentle walks through the neighborhood. She might remind you of a time when companionship was easier to find, and for a while, her attention feels like a soft blanket on a cold day. As weeks go by, you start to notice little things. She seems to need help with everyday matters. Perhaps she struggles to pay bills online, asks for rides more often than you expect, or needs advice about small things, from fixing her TV remote to organizing her medications. At first, you brush it off. After all, don't we all want to feel needed? Helping makes you feel useful, and in this stage of life, sometimes that's a wonderful feeling. But then, things start to shift. She calls almost daily, sometimes more than once, and her voice is anxious, hoping you'll fix whatever problem she's facing today. If you try to encourage her to try handling things herself, she's quick to point out how lost she feels without you, how she never could manage alone. Maybe she even hints that you're her only real friend now, the only person she can rely on. This dependency can feel flattering at first, but over time, it quietly builds a weight you carry with you. You find yourself rearranging your schedule to accommodate her needs. You hesitate to make your plans because you're worried she'll be upset if you're not available. Sometimes, you even wake up at night wondering how she's doing, not out of romance, but out of a growing sense of obligation. If you've ever experienced this, you're not alone. Many older adults, especially men, find themselves in relationships where the line between love and caretaking blurs. Society often tells us that caring for a partner is simply what you do. It's a sign of devotion and a testament to your character. After all, didn't your parents and grandparents care for one another through thick and thin? Isn't sacrifice just part of love? But here's a question worth asking yourself. Is it love if you feel more like a lifeline than a partner? Is it healthy if the balance tips so far that you feel drained, overwhelmed, or anxious about her next crisis? Let's pause and look at the beliefs that can get us into these situations. Many of us grew up in a culture that prizes self-sufficiency but also quietly expects men to be protectors, providers, and fixers. You might have spent a lifetime working hard, supporting your family, and solving problems big and small. Those instincts don't just disappear with retirement. If anything, the desire to be helpful and valued can become even stronger as children grow up and the rhythms of daily life slow down. At the same time, older women often face their own set of challenges: loss of a spouse, reduced income, and sometimes a shrinking social circle. It's not unusual for women in their 60s or 70s to feel anxious about managing finances, healthcare, or household repairs, especially if they've spent years relying on someone else for those tasks. Sometimes, seeking help is practical and necessary, but other times, it can slide into something less healthy: dependency that saps both partners' joy. Let's be clear, needing help now and then is normal. Aging brings its share of challenges, And sharing burdens is part of what makes relationships meaningful. But there's a line between support and unhealthy dependence, and that line can be surprisingly easy to cross, often without realizing it. From a psychological standpoint, experts call this enmeshment, where boundaries in relationships become blurred. You may feel responsible for your partner's feelings, problems, or even happiness. In extreme cases, this dynamic can lead to caregiver burnout, a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion, even in relationships that aren't technically caregiving in the medical sense. The science backs this up. Studies show that older adults who take on too much responsibility for another's well-being, especially if they neglect their own needs in the process, are at greater risk for depression, anxiety, and even health problems like high blood pressure or weakened immunity. The body and mind are deeply connected, especially as we age. So, how do you recognize when healthy support crosses the line into unhealthy dependency? Here are a few warning signs. You feel guilty when you spend time away from her, even for things you enjoy. You notice you're hiding your feelings or needs, afraid they'll upset her or make her feel abandoned. You begin neglecting your routines, hobbies, or social life to keep her happy. She discourages you from seeing other friends or family, or makes you feel like you're choosing them over her. You feel more like a caretaker than a companion, and your conversations revolve mostly around her worries or problems. If any of this sounds familiar, take a moment to breathe and remember, it's not selfish to have your own needs. Prioritizing your well-being is one of the kindest things you can do for both yourself and your partner. But what's the gentle way forward? You don't want to hurt her feelings, but you also don't want to lose yourself in the process. First, practice honest, compassionate communication. When she asks for help, pause before immediately jumping in. Ask her, "Do you think you could try this on your own first? I believe in you." Offer encouragement rather than instant solutions. Over time, this can help her build confidence in her abilities and ease the burden on you. Next, set boundaries, not as walls, but as healthy guidelines. For example, you might say, "I'm happy to help you with your banking on Friday mornings, but I need my afternoons for my errands or relaxation." Or, "Let's plan for the rides you need, so I can fit them into my week." By scheduling support, you can prevent last-minute crises from consuming your days. Don't be afraid to ask for help yourself. Reach out to friends, a support group, or even a counselor to talk about your feelings. Sometimes, just sharing your experience out loud can clarify what's truly happening and what you need to feel balanced again. It can also help to gently encourage her to reconnect with her own friends, family, or community resources. Maybe suggest she join a local senior center, book club, or church group, spaces where she can build her support network, independent of your relationship. Let's bring this idea to life with a story. Not long ago, I met Harold, a retired engineer from Ohio, who shared his experience with me over coffee at a local diner. Harold lost his wife after 40 years together. A few years after her passing, he met Linda, a kind woman from his church who quickly became a big part of his life. At first, Harold was grateful for the company. They cooked meals together, attended church picnics, and even started a small vegetable garden in his backyard. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But as the months went on, Harold began to notice that Linda relied on him for nearly everything. She called every morning, often asking him to drive her to appointments or fix things around her apartment. At first, Harold was happy to help, but gradually, his days became filled with Linda's requests. He stopped meeting friends for fishing trips and rarely spent time with his grandchildren. When Harold tried to talk about his own needs, Linda seemed hurt or even angry, insisting she had no one else to turn to. One afternoon, after Linda left his house in tears because he declined to drive her to the grocery store, Harold sat in his kitchen and felt utterly drained. He realized he was losing himself in this relationship, not because Linda was a bad person, but because their dynamic had quietly become unhealthy. That day, Harold called his daughter, who gently encouraged him to set some limits. Harold started small. He told Linda that he could only help with errands on certain days, and he encouraged her to reconnect with old friends from church. At first, Linda was resistant, but over time, she found her rhythm, joining a quilting group and making new friends. Harold, in turn, rediscovered his love for fishing, spent more time with his grandkids, and felt lighter and happier. Their relationship didn't end, but it transformed, from one of dependency to one of companionship and mutual respect. If you find yourself in a similar spot, remember Harold's story. Sometimes, loving someone means letting them grow, too, even if that means they learn to stand on their own 2 feet again. You might worry that setting boundaries will push someone away. But the truth is, healthy boundaries are essential for lasting, joyful relationships at any age. They allow both people to flourish, support each other, and maintain their individuality. You deserve a partnership that uplifts you, not one that quietly wears you down. So, if you're noticing signs of unhealthy dependence in your relationship, take a moment today to check in with yourself. Are you sacrificing your peace, your health, or your happiness to keep someone else afloat? Is your sense of purpose rooted in genuine love, or in obligation and fear of being alone? There's incredible freedom in knowing that you can support someone without losing yourself. As we grow older, the best relationships are built not on need but on shared joy, trust, and respect. If your partner truly cares for you, she will want you to feel fulfilled and happy, just as you wish for her. Take heart, it's never too late to make a gentle change. Start by having an open, honest conversation. Express your feelings, your hopes, and your needs. Invite her to do the same. Sometimes, just shining a light on an unspoken dynamic is enough to begin a new, healthier chapter together. If you need a little extra courage, think of all the times in life when you made a brave change. Switching careers, moving to a new city, starting a new hobby, or making a tough decision for your family. You did it then, and you can do it now, for the sake of your well-being and the quality of your relationships. And remember, you are not alone. Many men and women over 65 have navigated these waters before you, learning that real love respects boundaries and honors both people's needs. There's no shame in asking for what you need, just as there's no shame in offering support. The key is balance and the willingness to grow together, not apart. As you consider your relationships, I encourage you to ask yourself, am I being a loving partner or a lifeline? Am I carrying someone or walking alongside them? What small steps can I take today to find more peace, joy, and independence in my life? You have given so much to others, to your families, your friends, your communities. Now is the time to give a little kindness to yourself. Protect your energy, your passions, and your happiness. You deserve it. So the next time you meet someone new or reflect on your current relationship, remember Harold's story. Support is a gift, but so is independence. Choose relationships that help both of you thrive, and never forget, real companionship begins with 2 whole people standing side by side. You're never too old to learn something new about love or ourselves. You're never too old to choose happiness. And if you ever need a reminder, just look in the mirror and remember, you are worthy of respect, care, and the freedom to live your life fully at any age. Type 2. The argumentative and negative woman. Sometimes, what begins as an exciting new chapter in your life, opening your heart again, maybe after years alone or the loss of a longtime partner, can slowly become a daily struggle you never expected. Imagine this. You've met a woman, perhaps through a friend, a church potluck, or even an online site for seniors. At first, you're drawn to her lively energy, her quick wit, her strong opinions. It's refreshing. After all, after 60, we know what we want, right? A good debate over politics or a lively discussion about which diner in town serves the best apple pie can be part of the fun. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the energy in your new relationship starts to shift. Maybe you start to notice that every conversation seems to have an edge to it, that even small differences of opinion turn into full-blown debates. What begins as a friendly discussion about your favorite sports team morphs into an argument that leaves you feeling exhausted. She questions your every choice, what you eat, where you shop, the way you spend your afternoons. You might even notice that, after spending time together, your mood dips. Life feels heavier. You find yourself avoiding certain topics just to keep the peace, but somehow, conflict finds its way back in. If you've ever felt like you're constantly walking on eggshells, worried about saying the wrong thing or sparking another disagreement, know that you're far from alone. Many older adults, especially men, but certainly women, too, find themselves in relationships where negativity or constant criticism becomes the norm. Maybe you've told yourself, that's just her personality, or she's been through a lot, she needs to vent. Maybe, for a while, you even believed that if you just tried harder, she would be happier, and things would improve. But let's turn that idea around for a moment. Is it your job to absorb someone else's unhappiness? Is constant tension and criticism just a normal part of companionship after 60? Or is there something more at play? Something you don't have to accept, no matter your age or life story. Let's dig into why this happens, especially in relationships that form later in life. First, as we get older, both men and women bring a lifetime of habits, experiences, and sometimes pain to the table. Many older adults have lost loved ones, faced health scares, or endured financial struggles. It's natural for these experiences to shape our outlook. Some people become more resilient and positive with age, savoring each day as a gift. Others, however, may become more critical, impatient, or pessimistic, especially if life hasn't turned out as they hoped. There's also a science to this. Psychologists talk about negativity bias, a tendency, stronger in some people than others, to focus on what's wrong rather than what's right. This can intensify with age if we're not careful. Add to this the fact that some people use argument and criticism as a way to feel in control when life feels unpredictable or lonely. For some, conflict is a habit, a form of engagement, even if it drains those around them. Medical studies show that living with constant stress or negativity, especially after retirement, can do real harm. Chronic conflict in relationships can raise your blood pressure, affect your heart health, and weaken your immune system. It increases your risk of depression and anxiety. Worse, it can sap your will to do the things that once brought you joy, seeing friends, pursuing hobbies, or simply enjoying a sunny morning. But the impact isn't just physical. Emotional negativity and constant arguments can make you doubt yourself. You might start to believe that you're always in the wrong, or that your ideas and preferences don't matter. Over time, this eats away at your self-esteem, your motivation, and the easy sense of comfort that healthy companionship should bring. No one, at any age, deserves to feel small in their relationship. What's tricky is that, for many older Americans, the urge to avoid loneliness can be powerful. You might stay in a relationship that feels negative simply because you fear being alone again. You might minimize the arguments, excuse the criticism, or blame yourself. I'm just too sensitive now, you tell yourself. I should be grateful to have someone at all. But deep down, you know you're giving up too much of your peace. So, how do you break free from this cycle, without bitterness, and without sacrificing your chance for real connection? It starts, as so many things do, with honest reflection and gentle boundaries. First, pay attention to how you feel before, during, and after time spent together. Do you find yourself dreading her calls, or feeling relief when she leaves? Are you giving up activities or friends to avoid upsetting her? Do you second-guess your choices or apologize for things that aren't your fault? These are signs that negativity and argument have taken root. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Second, try to look beneath the surface. Sometimes, a negative or argumentative partner is expressing unspoken fears, fear of abandonment, loss, or their fading independence. This doesn't excuse the behavior, but it may help you approach the situation with compassion rather than anger. When you're ready, have a gentle but clear conversation. Share how you feel, not by blaming, but by using I statements. For example, I noticed that we've been arguing a lot, and it leaves me feeling drained. I want our time together to be peaceful and happy. Can we talk about how to make that happen? If she's open, you might even suggest working on this together. Taking breaks during tense moments, focusing on gratitude, or seeking support from friends, a pastor, or a counselor. Set boundaries that protect your peace. This doesn't mean you have to cut someone out of your life. It might be as simple as saying, I need to take a walk right now. Let's continue this conversation later. Or, I'd rather not discuss politics during dinner. Let's talk about something we both enjoy. You can also limit your time together if needed, choosing quality over quantity. It can also help to seek out positive experiences together. Suggest new activities, a gardening project, a volunteering shift, attending community events, things that encourage teamwork and joy rather than competition or criticism. Sometimes, breaking up old routines helps both people find new ways to connect. Let me share a true story that might sound familiar. Robert, a retired history teacher from Virginia, found himself in a relationship with a woman named Donna. At first, Donna's sharp humor and lively opinions were a breath of fresh air. She made Robert laugh, challenged him to try new things, and always had a story to share. But as time passed, Robert realized that Donna's wit often turned cutting. She would nitpick his clothes, mock his friends, and argue about nearly everything, from what movie to watch, to the best route to the grocery store. At first, Robert tried to ignore it, telling himself that he was overreacting. He wanted to keep Donna happy, so he stopped inviting his old golf buddies over and let her choose their weekend plans. But soon, he noticed he was losing touch with himself. He stopped reading his favorite novels, avoided calls from friends, and felt a growing anxiety in his chest whenever Donna was around. One afternoon, after a particularly tense argument about a family gathering, Robert sat alone and realized he felt more lonely with Donna than he ever had alone. He missed the easy laughter of his friends and the quiet mornings spent reading on his porch. Robert knew he needed a change. With a deep breath, he sat down with Donna and shared his feelings. He told her, calmly and kindly, that he wanted their relationship to be more positive. He explained how the constant criticism was making him feel. At first, Donna was defensive. She insisted she was only teasing or that she meant well. But Robert stood firm, repeating his needs for respect and peace. It wasn't easy. Some days, Donna slipped back into her old habits. But Robert, having found his voice, would gently remind her. Sometimes, he'd step outside for a walk or call a friend to reset his mood. Slowly, Donna began to see how her words affected Robert. She made an effort to show appreciation and apologize when she crossed the line. The relationship didn't become perfect overnight, but it improved. And Robert learned a valuable lesson, one he shares with other seniors at his local library. Don't ever be afraid to stand up for your own happiness, he says. If you want kindness and laughter, ask for it. If you need space, take it. Life's too short to spend it arguing. Maybe your story will look different. Maybe, after a heartfelt conversation, your partner won't change, and that's a hard truth to accept. In that case, remember this. It's okay to step away from relationships that cost you your peace, even if it means being alone for a while. Your happiness, health, and sense of self are worth protecting. If you find yourself staying in a negative relationship out of fear, remember that loneliness is not the same as being alone. Many older adults discover that, after moving on from a draining partnership, they reconnect with friends, rediscover old passions, or even find new love, this time, with someone who brings joy rather than stress. Life after 60, 70, or even 80 is full of opportunity. You have wisdom, humor, and stories worth sharing. You deserve to spend your days with people who appreciate and uplift you, not those who bring you down. So, the next time you sense an argument brewing, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Can I steer this conversation towards kindness? Can I choose to spend time with people who fill my cup rather than empty it? Remember, no one is perfect. We all have bad days, and sometimes we need to vent or disagree. But love, in its truest form, doesn't wound or belittle. It lifts, supports, and nourishes. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to prioritize your well-being. If you ever doubt your right to ask for more, think back to the moments in your life when you stood up for yourself. Maybe as a parent, an employee, a volunteer, or a friend. You have strength and wisdom hard-won by years of experience. Don't let anyone, no matter how close, take that away from you. So here's my encouragement to you. Look for the light. Spend time with those who make you laugh. Seek relationships where disagreements end with understanding, not bitterness. Say yes to peace, yes to kindness, yes to your own happiness. At the end of the day, life is too precious and too short for endless arguments and negativity. Choose joy. Choose yourself. And never forget, at any age, you have the power to write the next chapter of your story, filled with hope, friendship, and genuine love. Type 3. The financially problematic or manipulative woman. It's funny how hope can bloom again, even after 60 or 70 years of life. You might have thought romance was behind you, tucked away in old love letters or remembered in the faded scent of a spouse's favorite cologne or perfume. But time is full of surprises. The world has changed. Neighbors move, children build lives far away, and sometimes the house that was once full of noise becomes a little too quiet. In these moments, it's only natural to crave companionship, a soft voice to break the silence, a warm hand to hold on a chilly evening. For many older Americans, dating again is both exciting and a little frightening. You're wiser now, with more stories to tell and more lessons learned than you had in your 20s. But you also carry new worries about your health, your independence, and yes, your finances. These are real concerns, and as you step into new relationships, you may discover challenges you never expected. One of the most painful? Finding yourself entangled with someone whose interest in you seems to grow as your generosity does, and whose affection is tied, not to your heart, but to your wallet. You might not even notice it at first. Maybe you meet her at church or a community center, or you strike up a conversation at the grocery store, waiting for the rain to stop before you walk to your car. She's friendly, engaging, and shares stories that make you feel seen again. She laughs at your jokes, brings you little treats, remembers the details of your life. For a while, it feels almost too good to be true. It's only later, sometimes months down the road, that small warning signs begin to appear. Maybe she hints at struggles with her bills, or how she's helping her granddaughter with college expenses. Perhaps her car needs a repair, and she's too embarrassed to ask, but could you help out just this once? At first, you brush it off. After all, you're happy to help. That's what friends and partners do for each other. But the requests become more frequent. It starts with coffee, then dinner, then the expectation that you'll cover every outing. Over time, the numbers get bigger. She mentions medical bills, rent, emergencies that only you seem able to solve. Some men shrug this off, thinking, "I've always been the provider. It's no big deal." Others, especially those who've spent a lifetime saving and planning, start to feel uneasy. Maybe you try to set a limit, but she gets upset, accusing you of not caring, or becoming distant until you give in. You're left questioning yourself. Are you being stingy? Cold-hearted? Or are you simply trying to protect the security you've worked so hard to build? This isn't just a few isolated incidents. In fact, financial exploitation is one of the most common forms of abuse faced by older adults in America. According to the National Council on Aging, older Americans lose billions each year to financial abuse, much of it at the hands of someone they know and trust. It isn't always a scammer from across the globe. Sometimes, heartbreakingly, it's the person sitting across from you at breakfast, the one who calls you darling, but seems a little too interested in your pension check. Why does this happen, and why is it so hard to see until you're deep inside? Partly, it's because many of us are conditioned to give. In your generation, men were taught to be providers, responsible, generous, and protective. There's a certain pride in being able to say, "I can take care of you." Women, too, can find themselves relying on old patterns, especially if they've spent a lifetime as a homemaker or never managed finances on their own. But when a relationship is built on expectation rather than true partnership, trouble brews quietly, like a slow leak in a basement pipe. Financial manipulation doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives as flattery. "No one's ever treated me so well," or "I feel so safe when I'm with you." Other times, it's guilt. "If you really loved me, you'd help me," or "I have no one else to turn to." The effect is the same. Slowly, your boundaries blur. You pay more and more, often against your better judgment. And while you might tell yourself it's no big deal, you start to notice that your savings are shrinking, your anxiety is growing, and the warmth of the relationship has been replaced by unease. Let's pause for a moment and ask the question most people never say out loud. Does love require you to finance another person's life? Should your retirement years, so carefully built, be spent worrying if you can afford your own bills because you're busy paying someone else's? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This is where the answer becomes clear. True companionship, at any age, is built on mutual care, respect, and shared responsibility. It is not, and never should be, built on obligation or guilt. Healthy relationships are about give and take, not give and give until you have nothing left for yourself. Science and psychology back this up. Studies show that older adults who experience financial exploitation suffer not just monetary loss, but deep emotional harm. They are at higher risk for depression, anxiety, physical health problems, and social isolation. The feeling of being used or deceived is one of the hardest emotional blows to recover from, especially when it comes late in life, when trust is already more fragile. So what's the way forward? How do you protect yourself, your heart and your wallet, without closing the door on love and companionship? The good news is that you can set healthy boundaries and still enjoy rich, rewarding relationships. It's not about building walls. It's about honoring the hard work you've done to secure your future and making sure you get to enjoy it. Step 1. Keep your finances private and protected. There is never a good reason for a new partner to know your account numbers, social security number, or to have access to your bank cards. If someone asks for these things, see it as a red flag, no matter how much you care for them. Step 2. Practice saying no gently but firmly. If she asks for money, loans, or gifts that make you uncomfortable, it's perfectly okay to refuse. Try saying, "I care about you, but I'm not comfortable with that," or "I need to keep my savings for my own needs." Her reaction will tell you a lot about her intentions. Step 3. Stay connected to people you trust. Family, old friends, even your financial advisor. Don't be embarrassed to share your worries or ask for advice. Financial abusers rely on secrecy and isolation. A second pair of eyes can help you spot manipulation you might not see yourself. Step 4. Pay attention to how you feel in the relationship. Are you anxious, guilty, or afraid to bring up money? Do you notice you're giving more than you're receiving? If the answer is yes, it's time to reassess. Let's bring this home with a real story, one that might sound familiar. Frank, a 74-year-old retired truck driver from Nebraska, met Sheila at a local senior bingo night. Sheila was outgoing and funny, and soon they were seeing each other several times a week. She never asked for anything at first. In fact, she insisted on paying for their first date. But as time went on, Frank noticed Sheila's financial problems cropping up. Her car needed repairs, her rent was overdue, and she always seemed short on cash for groceries. At first, Frank didn't mind helping out. He liked feeling needed, and he had the means to do it. But things changed. Sheila's requests grew more frequent, and she grew distant or moody whenever Frank hesitated. When Frank confided in his daughter, she gently pointed out that real love shouldn't make him feel stressed or taken for granted. With her support, Frank set new boundaries. No more loans, no more bailing out Sheila's emergencies. Sheila was hurt, and eventually, the relationship faded. Frank felt sad, but also relieved. His sense of self-respect and peace returned. He realized that his best years were still ahead, and he deserved someone who valued him for who he was, not for what he could give. If you're in a similar situation, know this. You are not foolish, and you are not alone. Manipulative people are skilled at making you doubt yourself. But your instincts, those little twinges of discomfort or unease, are there for a reason. Trust them. Protect yourself the way you would protect a friend or loved one in the same position. If you want to help someone you care about, consider offering support in ways that don't put your finances at risk. Maybe help them find a local community resource, or suggest budgeting together. If their affection wanes when the money stops, it's a clear sign of where their priorities truly lie. Your savings, your home, your sense of safety, these are hard-earned. You spent decades building them, not just for yourself, but for your own dignity and independence. It's okay, more than okay, to say, "This is mine, and I choose to keep it safe." Here's the most important lesson of all. The best relationships, at any age, are built on mutual respect and genuine connection. The right person will never ask you to sacrifice your security or your peace of mind. She'll stand by you, not because of what you can give, but because of who you are. So, if you ever find yourself doubting, take a step back and remember Frank's story. Remember your own worth, and the love and wisdom you still have to share. Stay open to companionship, but never at the cost of your well-being. If you're watching this and thinking, "I wish I'd known this sooner," don't be hard on yourself. Life is always teaching us, right up to the very last page. And sometimes, the best lesson is the one that reminds us to value ourselves. Your golden years should be filled with laughter, friendship, and freedom from worry, not anxiety over someone else's bills. Protect your heart, but protect your future, too. As you move forward, may you find relationships that give as much as they receive, that bring light instead of burden, and that honor the journey you've traveled to get here. You deserve nothing less. As we come to the end of this conversation, let's pause and reflect on what truly matters most in life's later chapters. Whether you've recognized moments of overgiving, found yourself drained by constant arguments, or questioned a partner's financial intentions, know that you are not alone. These experiences are far more common than most people admit, and they do not define your worth or your future. Dating after 60 isn't just about finding someone to fill a chair across the table. It's about building connections that nurture your spirit, protect your peace, and honor the life you've already lived. You've earned the right to choose relationships that bring joy instead of stress, to set boundaries without guilt, and to insist on mutual respect. Love, at any age, should add to your happiness, not take away from it. Remember, the right relationship uplifts you, celebrates your wisdom, and allows both people to grow and thrive. It is never selfish to protect your well-being or your hard-earned security. If something doesn't feel right, trust yourself to step back, reflect, and if needed, make a change. You are not defined by your past or the mistakes of others. There is always time for new beginnings and brighter days ahead. Surround yourself with those who value you, cherish your stories, and make you feel seen. If today's video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's one lesson you're taking with you? Please share in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom and inspiration for your journey ahead. You are worthy of love, peace, and genuine happiness, now and always.